How's it going? This is Marcos Lemus. I'm a financial advisor here at Bulman Wealth Group. And I wanted to touch on something that keeps coming up in conversations with many of our clients. One question we've been hearing a lot is, are we in another dot-com bubble, just with AI replacing the internet? And to be honest, it's a fair question. When we see a handful of companies driving much of the market's returns, AI is everywhere. It's in all the headlines, and valuations of these AI companies, many of them are elevated in some areas. So we have to ask ourselves, is history repeating itself? Maybe in some ways, but there are also some key differences that I think are important to point out. So, similarity number one. In the late 90s, investors believed that the internet would change the world. And looking back on it in hindsight, they were right. It certainly did. Today, investors believe that AI could change the world too, just in a very different way. The similarity isn't the technology itself, right? Because they're both tech focused, but it's the excitement surrounding it. Similarity number two is market concentration. So, a relatively small group of companies, as I mentioned, driving a good portion of the market's great returns lately. And when concentration in specific indexes, being AI, tech, is driving a lot of that, we have to wonder if things gotten ahead of themselves, right? It's a logical line of thinking. Last similarity is the high valuations, right? Higher valuations generally are cause for concern, and investors are paying a premium for companies expected to benefit greatly from AI. And that's really similar to what happened during the dot-com era, but high valuations don't necessarily mean that we're in a bubble. The biggest difference, I think, is profitability. And many dot-com companies in the late 90s had little to no revenue growth and little to no profits. Today's AI leaders are generating billions and billions of dollars in revenue and profits and cash flow. So that's a huge difference. The next big difference is that AI is already being used. The adoption is already there. Back in the 90s, the internet and that story of the internet was really a story about the future, right? It wasn't as massively adopted as it is today. And AI is being used today across every sector you can think of. You may have used AI in your own life in some way, shape, or form. So, what's the big takeaway here? The internet certainly changed the world, as we said, but many of those stocks, those companies dropped 70, 80, 90%. Some of them aren't even around today. Now, great technology doesn't automatically mean that every investment around it is going to be successful. So that's why we try to focus on the things that are really important. Diversification with investing, discipline with investing, and having a long-term plan, right? The planning around it is so much more important rather than trying to keep up with everything on the headlines and making sure we're invested in all the hot companies and hot sectors. So one thing to remember is technology changes, right? It'll continue to change, but successful investing generally doesn't change. So if you have questions about your portfolio, your investments, to see how this might affect you or doesn't affect you, send your advisor an email or give us a call and schedule a meeting to discuss. We love talking about this stuff, so we're happy to flush out any questions that may arise. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on your Compass Clip. Take care.